Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner. This is episode number 199B, Countdown to Launch. The Eagle has landed Kickstarter. With me tonight is my very special guest. He's a filmmaker, he's a writer, a director, a producer, and he's also my friend, and he is Mr. Jeffrey Morris. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Hey,
How are you?
hey, good. Good to be here, as always. So,
Thanks for coming back on. So, yeah, this is an exciting time, Jeffrey. Things are really going underway with this, and with the Eagle has landed, and this documentary. It's hard to believe that it's almost been a year and a half, coming up on really 2 years that this has been in the making, and I'm really excited to be able to talk to you about it and let the fans know out there what's going on. So it's a lot of great stuff going on.
yeah, super excited. I mean, it's I don't even know. I literally can't remember the exact moment. I know I was in Florida on vacation with my wife down in the Fort Myers area, and I was just thinking about the eagle, and I was like, man, I've got eagles and I collect eagles, and I'm like, I've been kind of obsessed with the eagles since I was like in 1976, right? Since I was a kid. So I'm like, why is this? And then I thought, well, I'm not the only person. There's tons of people that collect these things and are freaks about it. And some of them don't even like Space 1999. You know, like all these people who love the Eagle. I'm like, why do so many people love the Eagle? And in my thought process, it really hit me that I think I figured out the reason. And I think the reason is it's a very special reason that harkens back to a very special time in human history. And I think that it is why it resonates with so many people. And I think that time period still stuck in so many people's heads. I think that's what it's all about. So that's what the documentary is really all about, is exploring that.
Yeah, and it's really, I mean, it's a nostalgic piece, and I think you're right too. Because even for myself, I mean, I'm a huge lover of Space 1999.
Yeah,
Loved season 1, season 2, mixed on some of the episodes, but altogether it's Space 1999. But as the show progressed, I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, Breakaway is just epic. I mean, that would have been something that could have been in a movie theater. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Everything with the Eagles and just how they're showcased and how we are introduced to them for the very first time and seeing what they're capable of. And it was science fiction, and it was a staple back in 1975, 1976 with what we were growing up with. And it's just resonated. And it really hits home in regards to that time period. I mean,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. There was just something really special about that time. And I don't know if there's really been a time like this since. I mean, I think certainly there are young people who watch what SpaceX is doing with having these rockets that can land on their rear, you know, and you know, that's something that's very special. People think that's really cool, but it's not the same as this feeling that I think we had, which was the world being depicted in Space 1999, certainly in Breakaway, seemed like really our path that we were on to the future. It really did. So I think that's a big part of this. And I think the fact that never kind of really came to pass, it still hasn't, right? I think that's part of why people are still obsessed with this thing. So it's just interesting. I think it's really worth exploring. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's going to be a lot of fans out there, whether they are fans of the Eagle, fans of Space 1999, the attention that this is going to bring is just going to really open up a lot of doors. And I think it's going to be fresh. It's going to be fresh and exciting for something that is literally coming up on being 50 years old. So it's
exactly
that in itself is really cool.
Well, I'll tell you this much. The most surreal aspect of it for me is I could never have imagined being a 7-year-old kid sitting in my, you know, family room on the floor watching this show, then imagining that decades later I'd be working with, you know, you and everyone to create this and put this together. You know, that's a really, really fascinating journey. Really fascinating. I could write a whole book on that alone. You know, it's pretty fascinating. So I'm very honored that people.
Hey, Jeffrey.
Oh yeah. What were we saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. Does it give you flashbacks to when you were a kid, making you think about the different times of just growing up when you're thinking about being involved in this project? I mean, do you find yourself really recollecting a lot in terms of that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like of course, I actually, I can go back and remember building an Eagle cockpit in my closet, for example, when I was little, and like grabbing every toy I had that had buttons on it, and control it. And I made my little cockpit in my closet, and I would pretend that was my closet. And then of course I would take, once I was lucky enough to have the die-cast dinky version, then I would go out in my backyard. I would pretend I was landing on a planet. Then I would go outside and I'd have my toy, and like, so I would have this whole adventure that I would plot out, it was almost like a TV episode that I would create, So no,
Absolutely.
I remember that. I remember playing with my friends. I remember talking. I remember how much my mother, she really sort of dangled like a carrot in front of me. Like, if you get good grades, I'll get you one of these, that kind of thing, the Eagle, and I did. I made sure I got good grades in order to get one and she actually got me both the freighter and the green one, both the two dinky versions. So it was really cool. So anyway, I absolutely, it takes me back. Literally remembering the very, very first time I ever saw imagery from Space 1999, which was a preview that the local TV affiliate that was carrying it, they were doing a fall preview, and they showed this, and I remember just sitting there, just blown away, like, oh, what is that? Like, I've got to watch that, and everything. And the other thing, last bit for me, is remembering being a kid, and I don't know, I just got it. Like Space 19, like I didn't feel like I was watching this thing as a kid. Like,
Right.
how grown up it was. I didn't feel like it was over my head.
Sure.
Watching, does that make sense? It felt like, well, yeah, this is what it will be
Makes
like.
sense.
It makes sense. This is what it'll be like. This is comm locks and travel tubes and all this stuff. It just felt so like connected to what I was so interested in that was happening at the time with NASA. That was the thing that was so cool about it. So yeah, I mean, all that stuff, all that nostalgia is being brought up, of course, in the process of this.
No, it actually really had a feel of realism. It's almost like it's not here yet in the present day 1970s, but this is something that really potentially could happen. It's
Right.
like it's gonna happen. It's in the making. It's just that we're not there yet. And it really felt that, okay, this is going to be like the next step.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've talked about this, how the 70s progressed and everything. And then even with the space shuttle, I mean, and I know that when we talked, it was like, okay, and I think what you said was too, it felt like, okay, how is this going to work though? How is this going to get us to the moon? And it really kind of felt like we were shortchanged in
Absolutely, no question. It was like, well, what is this? I mean, it looks kind of cool, but where does it go? What's it going to do? And it felt literally like what you said. It felt like we were being shortchanged.
Yeah, it was
Felt
just
like
like
there
an
was
orbiter.
like the future's being put on hold. The future's being diverted. It's we're going off course. That's what it felt like. So
Yeah, I was waiting for that to be able to go to the moon, but it's like with that spacecraft, it was never going to happen. So
no, it was never going to happen. I don't even get, like, on that show from the Earth to Moon, like they have this version of it that's going to the moon or whatever. I'm like, what? It's like, it's like, I don't know. The space shuttle is just, I don't know. We needed to be building on Apollo and continuing the Apollo direction, and then taking that maybe into the nuclear rockets and all kinds of other stuff that was on the drawing boards. Yeah.
right. So now fast forward 50 years, which is insane. I mean, we've gone through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the double zeros, the teens. Now we're at 2023. Here we are. And it's just like, what just happened? Where did the last 50 years go?
I know. Yeah, it's astounding, really. Yeah. I think that all the time. It's like, and I also imagine that this is not at all what I would have thought 2023 would be like.
Yeah.
In a way, right? It's yeah.
It's amazing. Hey, I want to welcome some of our viewers that are out there too.
Sure.
They're checking in with us. I see Martin is joining us, and he's joining us from New York. Welcome, Martin. Good to see you. Nancy's joining us from Canada, out in Calgary, Alberta. Welcome, Nancy. And Jeff Rubel is joining us from out west in Utah, I believe. Jeff, welcome. And May Barr is actually out there. May, welcome to the show. And
I always loved May's little image with her in the helmet.
Yes.
It's really cool, May.
Yeah. And Lou Place is out there too. Lou, welcome. You know, and one thing I wanted to say, I want to give a shout out to Lou because behind me, we were talking about eagles. Lou actually created this eagle back in 1984, and he
Oh,
made
wow.
it. He scratch built it, and it's about a 44-inch eagle. And he had made a Space 1999 fan film that he put together. And this is before fan films were actually being made, but that is his creation back there. So
That's
I just
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Where is Lou based?
Lou is in Rhode Island.
Very cool.
And Jeffrey, let me see. Jeff Rubel's saying, ask Roy about the eagle. Oh, behind him, it was made by a mutual friend in 1984. There we go. Yeah. I'm catching up on the comments, Jeffrey or Jeff. Yeah. Martin is saying, talking about a fan of the eagle. I'm a fan of both the eagle and the show.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
My wife Sherry's out there. She's saying, hi, Jeffrey. Hi, Roy, watching from Pipersville, Pennsylvania. Best of luck with the Kickstarter.
Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate it.
And Martin is saying the eagle on the cover of the Breakaway UK book got me into the series. And John Avery's out there. John, welcome.
Hey, John.
Good to see you out there.
Maybe it still will be. Maybe it still will be.
Saying future was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. May says thank you. So in regards to that, so now Jeffrey, I'm going to just share one of the slides. Bear with me one moment.
Sure.
And let me just go get it up here. And just to show different variations of the eagle. I mean, this is something that really grabbed our attention when we were growing up. And to this day, I mean, the fascination with the spacecraft it's contagious. I mean, as you were saying too, there are fans out there that are not necessarily fans of Space 1999, but are fans of the Eagle. And it's really a brilliant design that Brian Johnson came up with too, with the different modules and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know. There's just something about it. It was just so, and I fell in love with it the moment I saw it. It was just like, that is so cool. It's so, it felt so believable. It was very futuristic, but very utilitarian, you know, very, and it was something also, I don't know if it's just the gadgetry of being able to swap out the modules, you know, and having all these different versions of it and all the different things they could do with it. It was so, that was so clever. It was so, it was so interesting. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to talk to Brian and delve into that. Like, who even, you know, was it the writers that were talking about? Like, what was the genesis of saying, let's have this do all these different things, and then let's write stories around it being able to do, you know, oh, well, it'll carry these nuclear charges in this episode, you know, and that episode is going to, we'll put a grappling hook on it. We can grab, you know, you know what I mean? It's like all those different versions of it, right? Let's take it into battle against imaginary hawks, you know, and everything. Right. I mean, that was just, it was so cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's an excellent point too. Really, was it the writers that came up with the different aspects of the modules, or was it Brian who when he designed it, said this is a piece that could be substituted with different things? And then this was something that was proposed to the writers to say, maybe in almost like a Bible, so to speak, that this could be a framework of reference.
Well, if you think about it, like Star Trek, you know, okay, I just realized something. Is one of the differences between this and Star Trek, and part of why at the time I liked Space 1999 better than Star Trek was first season anyway. I really when I watched first season, you know, even as a small child, I struggled with the science of the moon traveling around. But that said, I love the diversity of environments that they took the Eagle to, or all the diversity of things they did with it, right? And all the and it was there was something about the utilitarian there. It was tangible. It felt like, well, we're gonna do this with it this week. We're gonna you know, we need one of these. Oh, well, yeah, we can do that. We've got those in the hangar. We'll just switch it out. You know, you don't see them say that, but you know that conversation would happen, right? It's like, what module do we have? Well, let's just switch it to that one. We can do that. You know what I mean? There was something about that it felt, it almost felt like industrial, in a
Hmm.
way. If you think about how, like, say you're in a large uh, manufacturing or excavating, or you know what I mean, like all the different machinery, or at an airport, all the different types of machines that are at an airport and everything. Which, you know, I don't feel like we really got a taste of that until like Star Trek: The Motion Picture, in the Star Trek universe, that you've got travel pods and work bees and you know what I mean, right? And all these different types of vessels that were support craft to the Enterprise, right? And which made, like, part of why I love Star Trek: The Motion Picture is that it felt like it brought it to life as a real world, as
Yeah.
opposed to, you know, yeah, we're on the ship and we're cruising around, and then yeah, we beam down to planets, and sometimes we take a shuttlecraft if we can't beam down or whatever it is. But it didn't, you know, like there was a tangibility. Like I love that in Space 1999. It's like, we're going to the planet. Let's go get an Eagle. You know, we go get in an Eagle and we fly down there and we have conversations, tense conversations while we're in transit, we're en route. Things happened on the Eagle. You know,
Right.
there was important narrative elements that happened on the Eagle. So that was something that really differentiated the show from Star Trek in a lot of ways, right? It's like, um, they're very different in that way. And honestly, as far as the world that I would have wanted to grow up into, I would have been much more interested in being in Moonbase Alpha than being on the Enterprise, just because it felt like so real to me.
Hmm.
You know, right? It just felt real to me. I mean, that, you know, we go into Moonbase Alpha for a minute, and just all the little elements that they came up with, the composts and the comm locks and stun guns and the nuclear power facilities, and you know, the medical bay, and all the, you know what I mean, all the different stuff that was going on in there. It felt, I don't know, it just felt like a city. It felt like this real tangible place. So
It definitely, for me,
yeah.
especially in the first season, it really did feel like a city. It was
Mhm.
so vast, and granted, the only main standing set was Main Mission, but the way they would develop different areas. I mean, when they had the nuclear power plant, they used it
Yeah.
in Force of Life. I mean, that felt
Yeah.
vast. I mean, it was like, wow, this is huge. This is
It's
really giving
huge.
you the idea that they have nuclear generators in there, and this is the
Yeah.
real thing.
Yeah.
And it was something that should not be messed with. And then even
Yeah.
with going back to Breakaway, having that whole area, the disposal area, and the way everything was
Yeah.
very intricate and being monitored and very
Yep.
specific, it
Well,
really, it,
think about how we were introduced to it with the nuclear waste canisters getting offloaded from the Eagle down into it, right? That was the first time you see an Eagle. There's stuff being offloaded, right? These things
yes,
happen. It just felt like I always say, I really believe you could have just had a TV show just about a moon base, about what was it just like to live on a moon base and to survive being on the moon. God, I would have loved that. I would have loved that. Just how hard is it to live on the moon? You know, what is it like to live on the moon? What's the challenges? And then how does that emotionally affect these people and all that sort of thing? You know, it could have been interesting. Yeah.
no, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm, I'll just refer to this real quickly because but in the episode, it was a second season episode. It was called the Seance Spectre, where essentially they're dealing with individuals who are starting to imagine things. They're starting to have what is they deem as green sickness, where they're just yearning to be on a habitable planet, and then
Hmm.
it causes them to essentially create mutiny, and they're going against the grain of command with Koenig. But it's an excellent exercise too, because they even reference in that episode that these scientists are on the moon doing exploration like 15 days at a time, and it's just that what happens when you're in that type of an environment. So to your
Hmm.
point, if they went back and actually had done a series not about it being blown out of the Earth's orbit, but
Yeah.
essentially what are the different types of things that can take place, whether it be scientific or if there's aliens that they're dealing with, kind of like on the same essence of UFO.
Hmm.
However, you're looking into the psychological drama that could
Well,
have been
that's
explored.
not to mention the fact that I think that there's a delicate nature. Do you remember the uh, Biosphere 2 in Arizona, where they were supposed to, it's this futuristic enclosure near Tucson, Arizona, that they built, and the idea is that it was supposed to be a totally sealed environment that had food, water, air, all the stuff, and they were it was cut off from the rest of the world. Supposedly it was going to be a place, and then they put a small number of researchers inside this, right? And over time, it steadily broke down. People went nuts, started kind of going nuts, and their guys ordering pizza, and all kinds of stuff was going on, right? Stuff you couldn't have done on the moon. But I mean,
Right.
the point I get into is that the reason why I was bringing that up is that if you even doing experiments like this on Earth, they get very difficult, and people start to lose it, and things go wrong, and food gets tainted, and water gets, things get spoiled, things go, air systems start to fail. There's a lot of stuff that just literally, I think The Martian helped illustrate, the movie The Martian helped illustrate
Yes.
how challenging it would be to be in these environments. And in
Right.
some ways, I mean, being on the moon would be a lot harsher than being on Mars. And it's could you imagine that? And I think again, I just think that there's a case to be made for how cool that moon base was, and just what it was, I want to know, like, who are those people? Who are those 311 people? As you said, like, rotating in and out. What was it? What was it like? What was, what if there were illnesses? What were there? The whole issue with the virus infection.
Right.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, all that sort, right? I mean, there's all kinds of fascinating stuff that could have been part of doing a story like that and everything. That was why my first attempt at the reboot was really around the idea of grounding it that way, and just saying, what if we just played it straight and just said, we're just on the moon, and what's it like to just be on the moon? I know some people think that's really boring, but I think the thing, someday I'm going to show people what that could be like. That you could really make a super exciting, action-packed, adventure, character-driven drama that was really rooted in just the challenges of being in that environment.
Well, and I think you nailed it too, Jeffrey. I think that with character dramas and really good storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to go, off the board and do something that's, out there, so to speak.
Right.
And it's just a lot of devices that are used, even just with regular filmmaking. I mean, some of the concepts that come up are just outrageous. And
Yeah.
it's just that there's not, I don't know. I tend to, I'm grounded more in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, but I just feel that stories in that time period, not to take away from stuff that is made today, because there is a lot of good material out there, but I feel that there was better storytelling, more concrete storytelling, more characterization,
Mm-hmm.
not so dependent upon action. I mean, there's nothing wrong with action. I love action.
Oh,
Adventure.
no, I completely agree with you. Actually, it's like, I think that action has its place. The
Mhm.
problem is that I think if you go back to sort of, I don't know. I think it kind of cuts off around 1983 in a way. But if you go kind of the mid 60s to the mid 80s, you have movies that are being made there where there was more of a balance between the character. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's an example of a film that has so much character.
Yeah.
It's super well written, has tons of action in it. But boy, do you care about the characters. Boy, do you feel something. Boy, are you pulled away. It's a perfect mix and balance of those things. Star Trek 2, that's another one. That's just perfect balance between, the drama and the action and the character and all that sort of thing, right? But you're absolutely right. If you go back in time to the, early 70s and late 60s, you have so many stories that were just about the people. They were just about the people and their circumstances. And I think that that's something that's missing now, is that I think the action or the visual effects, or those things, it's all sort of overpowering the storytelling. Right. It feels like the storytelling, we'll slow down for a minute, and we gotta talk for a minute or whatever. Yeah, okay, fine. Now I'll get some action again, and actually for me that starts to get really boring, because it doesn't feel like the action's motivated. The action's not motivated around my caring about the characters. The action's there in order to hold my attention. Does that make right? Instead of it, and that's not motivating the story to me, the narrative. So that's why a lot of more modern films they don't resonate for me as much as some of the older stuff because of that.
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement with that. And
Yeah.
it's one thing to have it, but it's another thing just to have it for the sake of having it.
Right.
And that's the direction that a lot of
it's just the direction it's going. So we just have how do we, in this movie we blow up 400 cars, oh, okay, and we have 10 car chases, it's like, okay, the last one only had 8 car chases, it's like, okay, it just, I don't know, it's just I don't know, it doesn't excite me. After a while, it's like I want more than that. I want to care. I want the characters first. I want to care about the people first.
That's that's the main hook. I mean, when you care about the characters, they've got you. I mean, that's the way to have folks tune back in again, because they build a rapport. There's almost like a relationship. And depending upon how the story is written, and then if the acting is well done, you're going to want to tune in each week. Or if it's a movie and then it turns into even like a movie type series, you're invested in it because you care about it. And that's part of the secret. And it's funny. It almost seems like it's too easy, but for whatever reason, I don't know. And I always say, we've said it on the show, that every decade seems to have its tone, whether it be television or films, the way things are handled. And it's amazing when you go back and you just watch how everything progresses, and it's identifiable. I mean, it's almost intangible.
Well, another thing that's missing for me, it's interesting because I was just thinking as you spoke about, like, when I think about the shows that I really enjoy these days, one of the things, like, if you in the last 20 years, the Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, kind of, like these shows, they're all these hero, anti-hero, like really interesting characters, and you're invested in them. You want to know what's going to happen to these people, where are they going. You're blown away by the decisions they make. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Or like, oh my gosh, you're rooting for them. Like, can they get through this? Or can you, or sometimes you're rooting for bad guys. It's all kinds of stuff right. I mean, it's really fascinating. And I think, but again, it's like great actors, great writing first.
Yeah.
Right. Great great writing that's being held up by great actors and really good direction and that sort of thing. That's first. Right. And then it's not about how many, we can have all the gunfights and, whatever explosions you want, but that doesn't mean you care, and everything. So I think that's part of what's been hurting box office too. I think deep down people are tired of it. People don't want to, they go to movies to, yes, to escape. But I think there are guys like you and me who, we want to escape, but part of escaping is having it be really good.
Right.
It's like, I mean, just having a bunch of stuff happen is not escaping for me. It's like, I want to feel like there's some substance. So,
yeah, because a lot of times it becomes predictable, and even with good writing and good storytelling, good acting, I mean, things can be predictable, but if it's predictable on a certain level, I think it can be detrimental to the story. But if it's on another level, it's more accepted. You can say, okay, I buy into it. That was the direction. And then sometimes they surprise you and they go into a totally different direction.
Right.
And the other thing too is talking about, like, even with special effects, when the special of a movie or television show is trying to survive on the special effects and not the story. I mean, again, it's going in a different direction.
Yeah. And nothing against anyone who enjoys that. That's fine. It's great.
Yeah,
I'm just,
absolutely.
I can only tell you what works for me. So getting back to Space 1999 and the Eagle, I think we hit on something earlier. I know we digressed, but this idea that the Eagle, something that was really cool, was that it served the narrative.
Yeah.
And then that made it made it a character. Does that make sense? Right? That's why the Eagle became a character in the show, because it was so integral to where they went, what they did, how they survived, what they accomplished. Right? You suddenly were like, oh, they're going to get an eagle. Oh man, it's like, it's eagle time. Right? I mean, that there was something about that was really, really cool. Even the music. Do you remember that? There's sort of this music that they would that fantastic Barry Gray soundtrack with the it's like there's something's getting ready to happen. They're gonna, and you get to see the eagle coming up on the pad. Yeah, there was a tension and there was an excitement around that was so cool. And remember, Deep Space Nine. I have to believe that in the pilot of Deep Space Nine, Emissary, when they first introduced the runabout, and the runabout comes up on the pad, they had to have been thinking about Space 1999 when they did that. They had to have been. You know what I mean? It actually felt like that the runabouts felt like, oh, they've got an eagle now.
Yeah.
Right. It even had modules that could change out and different aspects to it and everything. So that was something that was kind of cool about.
I never made that connection, but now that you're saying that, and I'm
Yeah.
envisioning it in my mind, because I watched, I was pretty much a heavy hitter for the first season of that show, and yeah, because they were giving it special attention, they were giving it the focus to show that this was something, that this was an important craft, and that could have been potentially a nod to 1999. And it's
no, it'll be. I actually think that's worth exploring. I might, we're going to talk to some Star Trek alumni, alums in this, and I'm going to definitely, I'm going to ask about that. So yeah,
very cool. I just want to read some of the comments that came through. Nancy comments and said the Eagle was a workhorse, so versatile in design.
Yeah.
Shari was commenting. She said, "Hope you got to see the full super blue moon and Saturn Wednesday night. Next one is not due until January of 2037."
It was pretty amazing. Yeah. I was actually out for a walk with my wife that night, which was pretty cool. So
were you able to see it pretty clearly?
Pretty clearly, yeah.
Sherry and I were trying to check it out, but it was there were a lot of clouds, unfortunately, in the Northeast. But Bill Scrotto is out there. Hey, Bill, thanks for joining us. And I know firsthand Bill is a huge fan of The Sopranos, so I know he's with you with that. Dennis Chevalier is joining us from Canada. Welcome, Dennis. Good to see you out there. Martin commented and said about 2001 when we were talking about different movies about action and characterization.
Oh yeah, 2001 is just hey Warren, 2001 is that's, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of science fiction, it's as good as it gets as far as the movies go. But I do 100% understand. I can understand that it's slow for some people, that they don't get it, especially the final act of the film. I completely understand why somebody might go, what is going on? What's happening right now? That kind of thing. I also think that there was a tour of the future aspect of that movie, right? That was like, it was really speaking to, here's a snapshot, even more than a narrative. It was an experience. It's like, we're going to go and we're going to get to see and feel what this would be like to live in this world. I think that's what that film is really trying to do in a lot of ways. And it doesn't really truly become a narrative until we're on the Discovery.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with that situation with Hal and everything, which is really phenomenal. And so, I would highly recommend anyone listening, that if you haven't ever seen 2001 in the theater, you should see it in the theater, because it has a totally different energy and vibe, and it feels like a different movie when you see it on the big screen.
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm going to give a shout out, because I know September 7th, which is this coming Thursday, if you are in the Princeton, New Jersey area, Ross told me about this, they are actually showing 2001: A Space Odyssey on Thursday night. So if you're in Princeton, New Jersey, you can go to the theater and check it out. So, hey, Warren, good to see you out there. Thanks for tuning in. Jack Daly is also joining us, and let's see. Jack is saying, "I love the show, but couldn't watch it with my dad. He was a pure science guy and would ask me questions like, why would they store radioactive waste on the moon? If they're going to launch the stuff, wouldn't it be logical to just aim it towards the sun?" But he did like the idea of the Eagle. It passed his believability test.
Yeah.
And Nancy commented, "I like a production that makes me disappear into the story. I get so absorbed that I'm oblivious to my surroundings. That is a quality production. Space 1999 did that for me and still does." Wow. And she also commented about loving the music. And Warren
the music is,
Warren said there's another 1999 reference in season 1 of DS9, a planet named Ultima Thule. I did not know that. And Jeff Rubel said, "I'm just glad Anderson used 2001 as a template for space. Couldn't have made any more grand."
Oh yeah, obviously it was clearly hugely influenced. Yeah, it looks really great in 4K. Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, Alan, too. Glad to see you out there. Yeah, I mean, the effects, and Brian Johnson even commented that too about I think it was a couple of years ago. He was just saying it was almost like, and he was joking around. He said it was no fair that they put the shows into high definition, because then it kind of gave away some of the secrets. But even with that, the effects still hold up to this day for most
Oh,
of
it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing what was accomplished. It is. And even if it doesn't look completely quote unquote real, right? It has a charm to it and an aesthetic, and it's an art form. That's how I look at it, right? And you have to respect the accomplishment. You have to respect the quality. You just have to, you know. And if you don't get it, and even the visual effects. So this might be a good time to kind of look at some of the effects stuff that
yeah, it's a great lead in.
right. The idea of when I was creating new visual effects, directing new visual effects, working with Tobias Richter out of Germany on this. I actually tried really hard not to make the effects feel too much like nowadays, because it's like it just would be. I mean, one of the things that happens, I think, with a lot of the, I don't know if you don't really watch a lot of the more modern Star Wars shows and things, right? You haven't watched a lot of that stuff, have you? Like there's this
Mandalorian.
well, there's like this Ahsoka thing that's on now, and there was a space battle on that show that just happened in the third episode, and it was just like. I literally felt nothing. I watched this and I felt nothing. It was just like, oh, okay, they're flying. There are these things flying around and they're shooting a little bit. And it's compared to like watching Star Wars in 1977 and seeing the TIE fighter battle, with the Millennium Falcon, and the energy and the excitement and how that just blew my mind. Right. It was so cool. This stuff now, it's just like, we've got all this computer technology. You can do whatever you want. You can make it look, doesn't matter. I didn't feel anything. It has to do with, again, it's the story. It's the stuff, So when you go back in time and you look at these movies and TV shows that where they had to put, they couldn't lean on computer graphics.
Right.
Right. They couldn't lean on that. They didn't have those tools. They had to use their imaginations and the technology that was available. And they had to invent things actually to pull a lot of it off, like, how do we do this? How are we going to do this? Whereas now it's like, well, I've got the software and I can this and I can that. And, I mean, I think there was a time of innovation with CG, obviously. And it's not that they don't continue to innovate with CG. They still do. But I think that when you go back in time to like the late 80s, like the 80s and the 90s, when we were at the advent of developing computer generated imagery for movies and TV, there was a real challenge around that. It was a real challenge there. Now it's sort of like, we're just gonna, well, we can make a planet, we can make a we can make a spaceship, we can fly,
we can do anything.
My point is that one of the things I really want to do in creating new effects for 1999 of the Eagle, I wanted to make it feel like, what would they have done 50 years ago if they'd had today's technology, right, as opposed to how can we make something from 50 years ago look like it's from today. That makes sense. So,
it does. And that's the charm and the respect that's being handled with this project. And that's what makes it that much more special, because it really is. It's a special time, and it's a way of preserving it and giving it the credence and the respect that's needed. And I understand what you're saying about that too. And incidentally, it's kind of ironic because I had not heard of that show. In fact, my son Ryan was just talking about that last night, and he happened to mention it, or else I wouldn't even have recognized the title. Mm-hmm. The latest incarnation in regards to Star Wars that I saw was Obi-Wan, and that was probably a year ago. So, and I know the Mandalorian, and there's a lot of things that are going on with that. So definitely we'll look into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in regards to the effects, I think that this was a great lead-in that maybe showing the folks in regards to that.
Yeah. Well, do you want to show it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's an exclusive thing that we've never really shown this. This is kind of a first chance for people to see this. So let me.
This is gonna be pretty cool.
Do this real quick. Share my screen, and it's going to get crazy. Let's see. Let's do this. Oh, here we go. Boom. Okay, can you see that?
It's not up yet. I see it down there. Oh, I'm gonna add it to the stream. Yep. Okay.
Okay. All right, check this out.
Very cool. That is really awesome, Jeffrey.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, well, hey, Space 1999 also had really hip, cool music, and I figured there's nothing wrong with putting a little modern spin on the music, so it was kind of fun. So
Absolutely. No,
yeah.
it draws you in. And I have to say, I love the passes as the Eagles just going, leaving the earth. And then again, we talked about this offline, but anything when there's like a sun type of effect and it's shining on the eagle the way it did, I mean, that was just really, really, it was just a nice
Well, again,
visual.
it's something they couldn't have done back then, right? And that was the very first shot I came up with. It was like, we got to do something you couldn't have done, but they would have wanted to, and also the very last shot, the very final shot, that is my homage to Breakaway. So, the shot, right, like the right when it says Breakaway, the opening, and we're flying, and the Eagle's on its way to the moon. That's so I was like, if you did it now, what would it look like? That's exactly what that shot's supposed to be. Yeah. So
Very cool.
that's my goal. Yeah, that was my goal with the last shot. So yeah. And I'll tell you, watching that, I kind of doing this, I'm like, I still don't think I'm going to give up on trying to see if I can convince ITV to let me make something more. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I just, I know that they're very precious with the IP, which they should be. And I've had the wonderful fortune of actually developing a relationship with ITV here recently, and they've approved our project, and they're excited for it, which is great. So who knows? Maybe if we do a great job in this documentary, we'll be in a position where we can push to create something new. And maybe the fans can say to them, hey, give this guy a shot. We'll see.
Well, I
But
think this is
right
going to
now
help.
I'm focused on a documentary.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Jeffrey. But I really think that this is going to help to pave the way, because it's, again, I hate to repeat the words, but it's the truth. You're showing the love and the respect of the eagle, and the product and how it was created, and then everything that goes behind it, and how it ties into our heritage and everything that we had 50 years ago, and the way it's being handled. I think that and the fact that ITV has actually signed off and said, what, they're good with it, that in itself is an achievement. So
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
definitely.
I'm real honored. And I also want to thank, we've had some interaction with Jamie Anderson. He's helped us get some of that over the edge, over the top, which has been great too. Jamie's been wonderful. So, I think this is going to be a pretty magical production in a lot of ways. So I'm very, very excited to see what we can come up with, so. Yeah. Now, the one thing I will have to say to everybody, if you actually want to see us take this all the way, everything you've seen so far is stuff that I've been able to invest in and make happen, through myself and my team. We're going to need people's help to get this thing over the top. We really, to make a decent documentary and pull off what we intend to pull off, we're going to need, at least $500,000 to do it. And that's a pretty lofty goal for a Kickstarter. I think it's totally possible, but we're going to need all hands on deck. We need everybody to help out. We're going to need everybody to, if you want to see this thing, I need you to kick in. I need you to call your friends, family, anybody loves Space 1999. It's great. Even if they respect your love of Space 1999, get them to help out. And then there's also the bigger picture of just we're all a team of, there's a grassroots team of really cool and interesting people who have come together from all around the world to try to make this thing happen. I couldn't do it by myself. I've had people like yourself and Warren there in Canada, and people in England, people all over the world who are like, let's come together and let's make this happen. And so I think it's possible. But when this thing launches next week, we're going to need as much help as possible to get it done. So on the 13th. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the comments that came through. Claudia is just joining us. Thanks for being out there, Claudia. She very much enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And John commented, I hope everyone got a taste of how much passion for the eagle we are putting into this documentary. Well said, John. It's May. Very cool, she said.
Thanks.
And Nancy, I wish you all success with ITV in the future. The future is fantastic. And Martin, as you say, this documentary will be a showcase for a relaunch of the series. Mm-hmm. We are hoping.
We're hoping, but again, I don't want people to think that that's what our goal is. But my goal number one is to make a great documentary about why we all love the Eagle and to really talk about that time period. You know, that's what we're doing first and foremost. But I'm not going to lie and say that, man, seeing the Eagles fly like that, I'm like, and even building, you know, there was a moment in there, you could see that interior we built. That's built in what's called Unreal Engine. And that interior is how, if people have seen the Kickstarter video, that's how we put me inside the Eagle. We did it with a virtual stage. And that model's fantastic. And like, we have the ability to actually take that and turn it into an exterior. We're actually building the hangar. So one of the stretch goals is of the piece is for people to help us fund a virtual tour of the Eagle, where I'm actually going to walk around the outside of a full-size Eagle and talk about it. So we can do that and make it look 100% real. You know, that's the stuff. You know, there's so many cool things. If people are interested, I'd like to take a minute and show you the Kickstarter page and give you a preview of what the Kickstarter, what the movie's going to be, and the Kickstarter and everything. But if there are any questions or comments before we go any further, I'm happy to talk about that too.
Yeah, so please, folks, if you have any questions for Jeffrey, please go ahead and post them. And
yeah,
Alan's saying that was nicely done. Look forward to doing my bit to get the documentary going.
Thank you, Alan. Really appreciate it.
There was a comment I think I saw. Dave, I didn't get a chance to say hi to you, Dave. Dave is joining us from the UK. And he said a British hello to you guys. Got 2001 on 4K. Need to find the time to watch it, as it's such a journey. But just wanted to say hi to him. Just he's out there. Yeah, that would be great, Jeffrey. And then maybe if you go ahead and show that, and then we'll come back and then we'll entertain any questions that any folks have.
Sure. Yeah. Give me a second. Let me find it here. Okay. All right. Is this it? No, that's not it. That's not it either. One second. Just have to find the right preview.
Oh, no problem.
Okay. Got it. All right. And this will give everybody a sense of what the documentary is like here. Go here. And why is that playing again? Oh, we can let it play again. I'm not sure why it's playing. That's weird. That's like really weird. Okay, here. Okay. All right. Can you see that?
Yes. Let me bring that in there.
Okay.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. All right. So this is the actual Kickstarter page. So this is a preview of what we've been developing and everything. So I know everybody's probably seen this video. This is the
and you might.
This is Nick Tate.
If you can make the video full screen.
Part of the new documentary, The Eagle Has Landed. An exclusive look starts now. 50 years ago, an icon was born. The Eagle transporter is one of the greatest sci-fi spacecraft ever conceived. To this day, the design provokes an intense devotion among countless fans around the world. The question is, why? I'm writer-director Jeffrey Morris. I've been enamored with the Eagle since I first saw it in the TV series Space 1999 back in 1975. As a child who followed the Apollo program, the Eagle felt like a direct descendant of NASA's lunar module. Those transformative moon missions left an indelible impact on a generation, as did the Eagle in Space 1999. Over the years, I've discovered that I'm just one of millions of fans who has an affection for the Eagle and a nostalgia for a future we never achieved. So I'm shooting a feature documentary about the origins of this beloved ship, while also exploring its ongoing cultural impact. And I'm inviting you to join me. I'll be speaking with the Eagle's designer, visual effects wizard Brian Johnson. I'll also chat with Nick Tate, the actor who played legendary pilot Captain Alan Carter. It's going to be an epic journey as I travel around the globe to speak with Eagle aficionados and luminaries from the worlds of science and science fiction. As for myself, the visionary world building in Space 1999 blew my mind. It ultimately inspired me to become a filmmaker and production designer. I'm the creator of hard sci-fi projects such as the forthcoming deep space adventure Persephone, the apocalyptic underwater thriller Oceanus, and the universe-hopping techno fantasy parallel man. Now I'm bringing all of my experience and passion to the creation of this documentary. The good news is we've already begun production. We self-financed a shoot in Louisville, Kentucky at Wonderfest, where I spoke with lifelong Eagle fans from around the country. They shared passionate stories about the iconic vessel and the aspects that make it so memorable. Then I traveled to Colorado, where I interviewed Kevin J. Anderson, the best-selling author of books set in the Dune, Star Wars, and X-Files universes. He also happens to be a huge fan of Space 1999. Recently, Kevin and I co-authored the novelization of my film Persephone. We had a blast discussing our mutual love of the Eagle and what it represents. Yet, there's still plenty left to do. I have to hire production crews at locations around the world. I also need to create visual effects and music. And of course, it all has to be edited together at a level that will rival any award-winning documentary. Now I'm asking for your assistance in completing the voyage. Check out our Kickstarter. There are tons of great rewards and even a couple of awesome stretch goals. The future began 50 years ago, and its time is now. Become a supporter of The Eagle Has Landed.
All right, so you're still seeing that, Roy?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. I just thought it'd be good to kind of give everybody that in case they hadn't seen it.
Absolutely. No, that was great.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the video presentation. And then you get down here and you start getting into the actual project itself. And so this is where we start to explain what the documentary is all about. We explain sort of why we're doing this and what the whole thing's, motivating it. We get into sort of my origin being here in Minnesota and, what this, basically what my story is and why I'm doing this, what it's all about and our intention. Then we get into the actual segments of the story. So the first thing I'm going to do is really give a sense of sort of going back to my childhood growing up. My father was an aerospace engineer. My mother's a librarian, and they both really talked to me a lot about science, the future, things like that. So like this was the city hall in the town where I grew up when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And then we also went to this telescopes. These are both locations we're going to shoot at early in the documentary, is kind of giving a sense of like where I was coming from at early childhood and why this mattered to me. And then I'm going to go and talk with Charles Duke, who is one of the astronaut from Apollo 16, one of the 4 remaining moonwalkers who are still around. Yeah, and he and I are going to talk a little bit about what the space program meant and what it was like for him to walk on the moon and what his perception was of things like 2001: A Space Odyssey, or his perception of what the future might be like. And we're going to be shooting at the Kennedy Space Center together, which will be really cool. Nice. Yeah, and we've already got a lot of that already lined up. Then I'm going to go to LA. And I'm going to be hanging out with a group of kind of sci-fi luminaries. So a lot of them have worked on, like Glenn Campbell worked on Blade Runner and Star Trek: The Motion Picture, a bunch of stuff. He's a fantastic visual effects artist. Michael and Denise Okuda, Robert Meyer Burnett, Darren Doctorman, Jeff Bond. These guys are all heavily involved with sci-fi and especially the world of Star Trek, that sort of thing. So we're going to have a little barbecue, and we're going to talk about the world before Star Wars and leading up into Space 1999.
They're a great group of people right there too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then once we jump off of Space 1999, then I'm going to travel to England and talk with Brian Johnson. And he and I are actually going to walk around Bray Studios where they shot the visual effects for Space 1999. We're going to do some other segments at Pinewood where we're going to really have a large eagle kind of on a display, and we're going to talk about it. How did he come up with the design? Get into it. Then I'm going to go and hang out with Jamie Anderson and really talk with him. He's in Wales. And amazing thing is he has I think he's 11 dogs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're going to hang out with him and his dogs, and we're going to go for a big walk out in Wales. Wales is so phenomenally beautiful. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And we're going to hang out and talk about his father's legacy and the whys of Space 1999 and the Eagle and that sort of thing, which will be a lot of fun. Then we get a really special treat when we're going to Los Angeles to interview Barbara Bain, who's agreed to be part of the documentary. And I really want to focus a lot on the episode, The Last Sunset, where they were stranded in the Eagle out in the lunar surface and everything. And I really want to talk. She was interested because she's like, well, having a chance, no one really talks to her about this idea of why is what was it like to be in these futuristic sets and on these spacecraft and all those things. and we're going to really talk about that, which I think will be a lot of fun. Then I'm going to hang out with Bill George, who's a Oscar-winning visual effects supervisor. Worked on, I don't know, like 5 Star Trek movies, and this is his Eagle that he recreated for his Sci-Fi Air show. You know, he did the restoration of the Enterprise for the Smithsonian. He's amazing, and Bill's going to be giving us a tour of ILM. That's our goal, and really talking about that. And then lastly, in that segment, we're going to hang out with Nick Tate, and Nick and I are going to play golf and talk about him and flying the Eagle, what that was like playing an astronaut at that time and everything. And then I'm going to wrap it up, that section, by going and talking with Gordon Moriguchi and bringing along my buddy Aldo Spadani, who's Aldo's worked on a ton of Hollywood films, and he's designed aircraft and spacecraft for Hollywood movies. He's worked with Northrop Grumman and NASA and everything, and he gets it. And as a matter of fact, he and I have been talking about a special project where we may do another Kickstarter at some point, which is just what would it take to build a real Eagle, like a real Eagle? How would it really work and everything? And that's going to be kind of a sequel to this documentary. We're going to talk about that. So then we get into part 3, which is really getting into the merchandise and the love of all that, and everything, which is really cool. And we're going to go back in time, and then we're gonna look at the whole ongoing fixation with the Eagle and merchandise around it and that sort of thing, which I think will be a lot of fun. I'm planning to go to see Todd Morton's Space 1999 props and ships in Indiana, and then go up to round 2 where they built the NPC kits and everything. And then I'm going to go over to Ireland and talk with Chris Thompson, who did the technical manual recently. That's going to be a lot of fun, and I want him to take us through his process creating the evolution of the Eagle and everything. All that book is so amazing, and I think it's fun to do the showcase. And then the last bit of this section is really to go hang out with Jan Venneberg over in Denmark and really take a look at his full size. Well, it's not full size, but quarter scale Eagle that he built. Might as well be full size.
Yeah,
amazing, absolutely amazing what he did. So we're gonna actually go to Denmark for that. So then we're going to go and really talk about, okay, the why. We're going to delve deep and dark into the why are people still obsessed with this. And again, my hypothesis is that it's because it's connected to, the loss of that future that never happened. This gentleman, Don Davis, he was a painter. He is a painter who created all this art in the 1970s that depicted sort of these projections of the future, including this space colony, right? And I remember growing up seeing all of Don's art, going, "That's so cool! I can't wait! I want to live there! I can make it happen!" Right? And I really want to talk about that. And then Kevin Anderson and I actually also talk a lot about like that lost future and what did it mean and everything, and how did it impact him as a writer and as he's created science fiction, and really get into that. We're also working on a special guest for this section. If I pull it off, it's going to be amazing. But I have a very, very big A-list Hollywood actor who happens to be very much into space, and he's very well known for that love. And I'm reaching out to him to see if he'll be interested in this. So we'll see what happens if I can get him into that section. So, and then we're going to go, and Aldo and I are going to go and take a look at the real life Eagle, which is this moon lander that's being developed right now in Huntsville, Alabama. And we're actually going to get on board and get in the simulators and talk about it, and talk about the future of going back to the moon and how there's really hope again, and that this is really, and then I want to bring it all back together by having this event in Calgary, where I bring everyone together and we basically talk about our love of the Eagle and this journey that I went on, and how the whole thing impacted me and us and the future of all of it. So it's sort of a Calgary 2 in a way. So, and then the very, very last scene, I'm planning to present Brian Johnson with an Eagle that is got special markings that are based upon my company and my personal journey as a thank you to him, because I really believe that I wouldn't be sitting here as a filmmaker today if I hadn't been captivated by Space 1999 as a 7-year-old. There's a direct through line from my love of that show in 1975 to me sitting here right now in 2023. So then we get into the initiative. We talk about that. You still with me?
Yeah, and I have to say, Jeffrey, there are so many parts to this documentary, which makes it that much more fantastic. It's when you just as you're going through everything, and it's there's different sections to it. It really is going to encompass a lot of material, and it's really going to touch upon a lot of great components. So it's really that much of more of an exciting time when you think about it. It's not only going to be a documentary, but it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So then this explains, and we go straight to these stretch goals. So we want to, we need to raise 500, but if we can hit 700, Brian and I can do a whole bunch of new visual effects, and we do like a 15-minute little movie about making new visual effects. And what he and I have been talking about is doing a combination of miniatures and CG, and bringing miniatures out and actually doing some motion control work with more advanced motion control rigs. And really, I mean, I just can't tell you how much fun it would be for us to go and create this and do this together. And you guys have already seen what we put together. So, and then I did include that video that I showed you guys a little bit ago.
Yeah.
And then we go from that to another thing that we can do is that virtual tour of the Eagle that I was telling you guys about.
Right.
Yep. And then we can actually build the interior of the Eagle from cockpit all the way through the passenger module. We already have detailed plans that we've created. We're working with a company called Machinarium. They're in Pinewood Studios in London. And the goal would be to build this as a fully, highly detailed museum quality set that actually people can tour and walk in. And my goal would be, when this is completed, to have fans be able to actually set this up somewhere for the 50th in 2024, 25, and actually have people be able to, in the UK, and obviously invite people from around the world if they want to come, to be able to tour this thing and have their photo taken and be inside it, and actually have a physical, representation of the Eagle built again. So that's
really amazing.
That's the plan. So that's those are our 3 stretch goals. And so there's the documentary. We can accomplish all 3 of these. We could do the visual effects, we can do the virtual tour, and we can build this. All these are completely planned out and prepared. Well, you guys can see this image right here. These images. This is real. This is us. We built these. Yeah. So, and these are fully 3D, fully realized, and everything. So, yeah. So that's what we got. That's the piece. That's everything. So we're working on it. Yeah.
Thank you for taking us through that. And folks, if you have any questions as Jeffrey's just reviewing, please post them out. One of the comments that just came in, let me see here.
Or do you want to remove that? Do you want to
let me do that. Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Nancy said, I remember Jeffrey mentioning the build of the Eagle cockpit. Would so love to see that happen and experience it in person. And Claudia is asking, Jeffrey, have you talked with Robert Baldessari, who made the Eagle cutaway poster?
Yeah, Roberto, actually, he and I just spoke in the last couple of days. Okay, so everybody here, go to here. Actually, let me share another thing real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Got it.
Okay.
Everybody, can you have that up?
Yep. Can you see it?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the official website for the documentary. So so you can get the top nav, you got the home, this actually takes you to I want everyone, if you can, get everyone and do this, but click over, and when you click over here, it actually, I don't know if you can see that. Did it change? Yeah, it did. Should have. Yeah. So just become a follower of the page, and you'll find out exactly when it goes live and everything. And the more followers we can show, that shows the more the level of interest that we have for the project, which I think would be great. So everyone, please do that if you can. That'd be great. So then you can go there. You also sign up for email updates. This link also takes you to the same place as before. This is just a quick discussion of everything. So then this shows all the different people that we're for sure interviewing in the documentary.
Yeah.
And gives you a sense of who they are and what we've
Yeah, it gives a nice summary of the different individuals associated with the project, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have some more. I'll keep adding them as more people get involved. So, yeah, a little background on me. This video gives a background into me and my company and all the stuff that we've done. And then we've got a giveaway here. And I know there've been some questions from people about, we had in our fine print that we were only going to ship we were limiting the giveaway to North America, then we expanded it to the UK. So North America, UK. Okay. So we're going to expand the giveaway to the entire world. But there's a caveat. We're only going to ship to either North America or the UK, because otherwise it just gets too expensive. And these are worth hundreds of dollars, between $300 and $500 each. This one's damn near priceless. So, come on. I mean, it's like if you win and you're outside of either the, North America or the UK, we're only asking that you foot the bill for us to ship it to you. And I'm really only doing this because I really want to get people excited. And I know there are a lot of people who would love to have a pre-built Eagle who can't afford one. And I think it's really exciting to be able to, or just, don't make the choice to buy one. I think it's really exciting to make these available. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. So there's a giveaway there, and we're going to do a drawing on a very special broadcast that we're going to do with you on the 12th. You and some of the other guys, a couple of other pages. We're gonna do that on the 12th. So we'll be announcing that. So then, this is a section that I think is really a lot of fun. This is where we get into actually people's story. They get to tell the story about why they love the Eagle and who they were and how they became interested in it. And Roberto, I just got a story from him about his love of the Eagle, and we'll have that up early next week. So it should be up by, I've been a fan of Roberto's for years and years and years. I have collected all of his different prints and everything. And he has actually worked with me on several of my projects. He's done a lot of illustration work for me, which is great. So big fan. So it's going to be cool. And this is, gives some of these different stories. So if anybody has stories they'd like to tell, send them in so we can do this. For right now, we've only put the ones that have photos. We have gotten some more than this, but they didn't include photos. So we wanted to, make them visually stunning and exciting. So that's some of the ones we've got so far. So I wanted people to have a chance to tell their story, which I thought was fun. So then you can click right here and share your story, and then we'll put it in here.
And I think that's a really nice nostalgic piece, because it's very interesting too, especially when you reference the Christmas of 1976.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a Space 1999 fan, it's like everybody remembers that Christmas and will tell their story about how they got the Mattel Eagle, and they remember it very clearly. So
mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
So here's some of the amazing press we've already had for the project. So this is Deadline Hollywood, which is up there. It's basically a division of Hollywood Reporter and everything. So they did an exclusive on the project, and which is just really, really cool. So they explain everything we're doing and how it's working, and I think it's really cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great write-up on that.
Yeah. I don't really understand the pictures they chose, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I sent them different pictures, but these are the pictures they wanted. So I'm just happy for the coverage. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hey, and I want to thank John. John has posted in the comments section just for the folks, just to add to what you were saying earlier, Jeffrey, as far as visiting the website, and then making sure to notify me at launch. And then that way you're basically following the page. So definitely be sure to do that. And also make sure to tell your friends or your family members, and just, especially if you have a love for Space 1999, it'll help just to get the word out. Again, and John also posted the URL. Again, it's eagledocumentary.com for The Eagle Has Landed. And that's the official website page. So John, thank you for doing that. Much appreciated in regards to that. Martin just posed a question. He just said, Calgary 2, any idea what the date would be?
Yeah, let's see. Calgary 2. Give me a second and I can look it up. I've got the whole thing scheduled. So just give me a minute. Yeah.
And I'm just going through. Let's see. While you're doing
okay. Yeah, we're looking at, we want to be back in Calgary. I'm planning to set up on Saturday. Like I'm going to arrive in Calgary on Saturday, the 4th And then we would start prepping on the 5th, and then the shoot would be on Monday the 6th. That's my goal.
And that's November?
Yeah.
Okay.
November. Yeah. That'd be the plan.
Okay.
Yep.
So thanks for asking for in regards to that.
Yeah.
Martin. Thanks, Jeffrey, for providing that.
Yep.
And if anybody else has any questions that they would like to ask, please do. Dave commented back. He said, "Thank you for your Welsh comments, Jeffrey. I live in Wales, and I think it's beautiful too."
Yeah, Dave. That's one of the places I might try to convince my wife to move to someday. I absolutely love it there. It's great. I actually spent some time there a few years back, and I went up to Port Marion up on the coast because I'm a big fan of The Prisoner, and I actually got to spend the night there and have dinner and sleep in. I don't know if you're a Prisoner fan, but I got to sleep in a hotel room, which was in the Green Dome, which was number 2's place, which was,
wow.
I can't tell you, it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. I was there by myself, but it was awesome. It was fantastic. So I love Wales.
That's a bucket list item.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was really cool to go there. It was really, really neat. So
that's amazing. And that's a discussion. I mean, we talked about that on the show a long time ago, but I would love to revisit the Prisoner at some point.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No, this is great. I think we really touched upon a lot of information. And it's coming quick. In fact, September 13th is a week away from this Wednesday. Now, Jeffrey, just to let everyone know too, how long will the Kickstarter be lasting? When will it officially
We're
be?
going to run till October 12th. That's
Okay.
that's the date. So we're gonna wrap on Thursday, October 12th. So that'll give us 31 days, something like that. So yeah, most Kickstarters, you can go longer, but typically you psychologically people they tend to get in the shorter ones. So we're actually working with Kickstarter on this. They really like the project, so they're going to help us with it too. So yeah. But it's a big goal, and I need, as I say, all hands on deck. I need as many fans to get involved, and I hope everybody's seeing what we intend to do with this documentary. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's like I put a lot of thought into this. Like, what is the story, and how do we tell the story, and where do we go? And obviously you could go forever, right? But I was trying to bring it down into enough of a story that gave a sense of both the fan side of this, but also the bigger picture and even the history and the key individuals in the history, all that. That's what I was trying to do with this. So.
Well, I think it's really clear, and I really think you, just from everything that you explained, I really think that you could see that the respect that's being utilized with this, and it has different sections, but you're hitting in regards to going to the creator, in regards to the Eagle. I mean, you have Brian Johnson, and you're looking to show the different effects that you've demonstrated. Also, you're interviewing folks that were involved in NASA back in the 70s, and that's really tying into the nostalgia effect of everything. And then, as well as just going through to different areas of special effects artists who maybe their careers have been influenced. Again, you referenced.
Well, the thing with Bill George, we're really going to talk about how the visual effects industry was affected by Space 1999 and the Eagle, and even the Eagle's influence on Star Wars, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff around the Millennium Falcon that really specifically tied directly to the Eagle. So there's a lot of storytelling to do there. I think it'd be really cool. So yeah. So this will be at least 90 minutes long, and it's going to be. I mean, I think we're shooting with 2 cameras. We're shooting with motion picture quality. I mean, this could easily be shown on a big screen. The whole idea here is to create something that's a theatrical, cinematic journey. It's not some. I'm a filmmaker. I want to make something big. I mean, you could even see in the shots we did. We used drones and stuff to do all these epic shots in Colorado, and everything. You can see that. So it's good. We're going to do that all throughout the entire production. So that's why I didn't want to just make this thing. We get people and we set them in a studio with a neutral background and ask them questions. Right. I mean, you could obviously do that. This to me is much more interesting to actually have a dynamic, fun journey.
Yeah, and you've said that a few times. And I think that really encompasses it. Journey. It is a journey. It's just how this all came about, and then where it's led to, and then where it's going. So it really, it's very progressive in that sense, where it's going to the next level and then the next level and then just meeting with everybody. So I think it's, in fact, Alan just commented, he said, from looking at your list, it looks nicely thought out and covering a lot of ground, running time of over 100 minutes at a guess.
Probably. I'm thinking we're going to be in the 100-minute, you know, if I get the two celebrity names, there's two celebrities. One's a very famous English scientist and science presenter. If we get him, who happens to be a Space 1999 fan, and if we get this Hollywood person, I'm going to expand the documentary to have them both in it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Jeffrey too. Todd is out there, and I didn't. He came on a while ago, so just wanted to shout out to Todd. So Todd, thanks for me. No, so yeah, I think this is wonderful, and I think it's a lot to be excited about. So mark your calendars, folks, and if you do have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out. In regards to the documentary website, again, it's www.eagledocumentary.com. And the information, you can review that. Again, the site is now live, so you can definitely go there to view it. So very exciting.
Well, the other thing too is I think if you have friends or people who are like, hey, what's this documentary thing about? What's this Kickstarter about? Send them this podcast. I mean, when this is done, right? I mean, this podcast is a really great sort of micro encapsulation of what we're doing.
No, absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the shout outs real quick. And then what I'll do is we'll come back and just entertain any questions that anybody has. So folks, I'm just going to start to wind down. So what you can do is I'm just going to go to the shout outs real quickly. If you have any questions for Jeffrey, please post them in the comments section and we'll come back to that. So right now, let me just share my screen and go quickly with this. Okay, it's on the screen. So in regards to shout outs, first, I just want to give a shout out to my son, Ryan. He turned 30 today. Actually, he turns officially 30 at 10:34 p.m. So happy birthday, Ryan. I love you and so proud of you. And I just wanted to put that out there first and foremost. So in regards to the shout outs. So thanks to everybody that commented earlier about that, his birthday. My friends Mike and Mary Beth from Sci-Fi Distilled, they are on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and their next show is going to be on September 6th. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be having a discussion about Star Trek, because Star Trek Day, as it has been deemed over the last several years, is coming up, which is on September 8th if you are in the U.S., September 7th if you're in Canada, to our Canadian friends out there, because that is when Star Trek premiered back in 1966 for the very first time with the episode The Man Trap. So anyway, they are going to be covering that and discussing that. And again, that will be this Wednesday with Mike and Mary Beth. I want to give a shout out to Captain Phil's Planet, Phil Merkel, WUSB 90.1 FM, Stony Brook, New York. The captain's schedule is on alternating Thursdays from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. He is also on Friday nights from 9 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I also want to give a shout out to local friends, and this is Martha, and she actually has, and Snow. They are the owners of Studio One Thrift, and they actually are progressing where they're going to actually have a physical store location. So that's going to be having a grand opening at the end of September. But you can order through them online. If you go to their website, go to www.studioonethrift.net and be sure to subscribe to receive updates. And then you can find out information about stylish, affordable clothing for men and women, and also receive styling tips and informational updates as well. Also, my co-host and my friend, Mr. Ross Amico. Ross has actually switched to a different station in regards to broadcasting, and it's through the college in Oregon. If it's KWAX, and it's KWAX .uoregon.edu. He has two shows which are on, and the first being The Lost Chord, which is on Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific. It's daylight time, and then also Picture Perfect, which is on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Pacific daylight time. And for information in regard to the shows, you can go to his Facebook page, which is Classic Ross Amico. And then finally, just want to let everybody know we are going to be doing our 200th episode of this show. It is coming this coming Friday, and Ross and I will be back. We've actually been away for the last 4 weeks with everything going on with the summer, and we're going to do a 200th episode celebration. I am going to invite folks to actually come on just for a couple minutes. You'll be able to come through StreamYard, just like Jeffrey and I are doing right now, and just as Ross and I do. You'll be able to come on the show and just let us know, some favorite times of watching the show, things that you enjoyed. And we're going to try to make it special. It also times out with it being Star Trek Day. So we are going to be acknowledging Star Trek. And actually, the center of discussion is going to be around the Menagerie, Part 1 and Part 2. We felt that it was only appropriate for that and regards. And also, our special guest is going to be Chris Hunter, who's the son of actor Jeffrey Hunter. And he's going to be joining us for a few minutes to be on the show, just to reflect about his dad. And then also really being one of the first Star Trek fans and growing up with Star Trek. So definitely want and let you know about that, and hoping that you'll be able to join us. That will be on this coming Friday, September 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And okay, I'm just going to go to the comments and check to see... to check Martin, it looks like commented, "Thank you, Jeffrey, for bringing this project to us. Let's get everyone to fund this." And Dennis Chevalier commented, "Excited for the Kickstarter go live date. Live long and prosper, everyone, and have a great week." Jerry commented, "Future is fantastic." And Jeff Rubel is thanking us for the show. And I think pretty much doesn't look like this.
I guess I did my job. Everybody gets it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, Jeffrey, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And I want to just say thank you for being on, and thank you for putting the time and the effort into this project, because honestly, this is not something that is happening overnight. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people that are involved with this. And the end result is going to be amazing, just basically from what you've shown. And I feel privileged to have had to seen some of the behind the scenes, as well as other members of the group. And honestly, I can't think of, there's probably a handful of people that could do this, and you're definitely one of them. So I'm just happy to know that, getting to know you over the last year and a half, 2 years, like I said at the beginning, I consider you a friend, and it's just, it's an exciting time. And I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Absolutely. No, thank you. It's been my honor to be able to work with you and develop a friendship with you. And it really means a lot. So I think we've got to, there's, as they say, the future is fantastic, right? We're going to make it fantastic. So it's great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yep.
Folks, wishing you also, if you're in the US, a happy Labor Day weekend. I mean, it's coming to a close, but tomorrow's Labor Day. So be safe and just take care. And hopefully you'll be able to join us this Friday and have a very enjoyable week. And as always, like to close, live long and prosper. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.